Massive changes are around the corner, and we finally have the Rengar update. Not only this, but also Fiend Queller is on the horizon, but these are only leaks and rumors, and there's one thing to save even more money on your wild cores and skins, and I'll tell you about this a little bit later. But now, let's start with the patch rundown. Big day for Assassin junglers because the Rengar rework is here. Yes, we are really excited about it, and no, there are other things in the patch. Like your regularly scheduled balance updates. Welcome to patch 5.2c. As a typical reminder, content will be released throughout the patch. New events: Journey to Mastery. Try out the newly reworked Rengar to earn goodies. We are handing out a 3-day trial card to Rengar so everyone can be part of it. The Journey to Mastery begins on the 5th of September. Champion changes. Rengar. Rengar is receiving his rework this patch. We are updating his abilities to allow for a variety of combos. His skills should also feel more smoother as you pounce in and out of bushes. His damage output will also be much more stable, allowing his opponents to understand exactly how much health they need to avoid getting bursted. Base stats increase, so let me get my marker here. Base damage of AD is being increased from 58 to 62 for AD, granted for free, pretty big for the jungle clear. Then we have a 0.4 AD growth increase in the jungle, also pretty nice to have. We have a health increase by 7 per level and an armor increase by 0.4 per level. That is definitely not too little, and it's gonna benefit jungle Rengar as well as top lane Rengar very, very much. Unseen Predator. New: if Rengar does not gain ferocity from his basic attacks and has at least 4 ferocity, he'll be granted 1 ferocity instantly. New: Rengar gains 30 to 50 bonus movement speed based on champion level for 1.5 seconds after casting an empowered ability. All ferocity will be reset after 8 seconds when you stay out of combat. Bonus attack damage gained from granting or tanking down champions is being nerfed from up to 25%, 1 to 25%, but the first stacks are being increased, so you have a buff in the early game, like the first stack, the second stack, the third stack, they're all increased, but the 4th and 5th stack are nerfed. No Mercy, which is Rengar's first ability, which was previously called Savagery. New: the first basic attack after casting an ability will always crit, with its damage boosted by the crit rate up to a maximum of 100% crit rate. Now it deals 60% bonus damage to turrets. Well, not bonus damage, it's only 60% damage from 100% damage. Damage of empowered basic attacks, we have a change here. So we have 40, 160 with the bonus damage modifiers here, so we have a buff in the early game, or generally in total, by plus 10, and in the scaling department it remains the same. So what do we have for the empowered basic all attack with ferocity? We have an increase from 25 to 35, the per level scaling remains the same, and the bonus, like the attack damage scaling, also remains the same, but it's a straight up buff for the first ability. Battle Roar. If the target dealing damage to Rengar is a monster, then Rengar restores 100% health equal to the damage he received in the first 2 seconds. Removed gains bonus movement speed effect with casting empowered abilities. So this is not a passive, and if you are familiar, Rengar's second ability, you regain 50% health of the damage taken. Now it's going to be 100% against monsters in the jungle, which is quite a substantial change, making Rengar even more durable during your jungle clear, while also accelerating his jungle clear if you think about all the changes he's receiving. The next thing we have is the third ability, Bowler Strike. New: casting Bowler Strike reveals the vision around the target for 2 seconds. So the question is, does it mean it reveals only the target, or like the area around the target, because that would be very interesting and very broken at the same time. Bowler Strike can also be now cast during the leap, which means quality of life and combos are much easier. We also have a damage increase by 10 on the lowest rank, which is an overall a 10 damage increase on just the spell itself. There's no scaling change. Damage with ferocity is also seeing an increase by a flat 10, but there's no scaling changes at all. Next up, we have the ultimate for the hunt. Cooldown is being reduced from 90 to 75 in the early game, and then late game we lose 5 seconds, so every rank is getting buffed, and the bonus movement speed of the ability is also seeing a buff of 10% movement speed, so Rengar across the board got buff over buff over buff, so this champion, next patch, is going to be an absolute demonic existence. Wukong. We are improving Wukong's ability so he can last till the end of his journey. Base stats 105 to 112, and the first ability's damage is seeing an increase. This remains all the same. The first ability receives damage buffs at the second level, at the third level, and at the highest level. The scaling also remains the same, but it's funny because they just buff Wukong again in terms of damage, even though all he has is damage. Interesting. Now, I've talked about it earlier. We have the upcoming Fiend Queller thing with the new skin line and a new gacha event. Most likely, these are the rumors. And Riot is also increasing the wildcard prices again in different regions. So if you want to save on wildcards, if you want to save on skins, make sure to join the Discord in the description below. Here's like a prize list for the European server. We have different servers listed as well. And if you want to save on deals, want to just gift your friends a few skins, make sure to check that one out. If you prefer the gift version, you have to have the account added for like 14 days. So make sure to join the Discord, add the accounts, and then just wait for the new events coming out, and then you can save big time. Don't forget to use the code Kirks10. You can just say Kirks, it will be automatically applied. They will just do everything for you. Speak to the staff if you have any kind of trouble. And anyway, we move over to the next pick, Zyra. Zyra's lack of damage has made an unpopular pick as a solo laner and support. We are boosting her damage because it's never too late for a flower to bloom. Okay, Jin, calm down. Garden of Thorns. The damage of the Spitters is being increased from 5 to 10 immediately in the early game, and in the late game it's a 5 damage buff. And the scaling also receives a 3% buff, which is pretty significant if you consider that these plants or multiple plants hit at the same time. We also have the first ability, Deadly Spines, which is her like super range poke ability, and this ability sees an increase by 10% on ability power. It's a very interesting change. There's also a thing with Zyra. Zyra is pretty bugged on many things. So as of right now, many of her plants don't proc runes, etc., or items properly. The only thing that really works is Liandry as well as Airy in combination, and these two items really make her shine. Rylai's is completely useless on her, and most other items as well. So most of the time you have Liandry's and Riftmaker on this champion to actually deal damage. So if you have these items, you will actually deal damage on this champion. Akshan. While Akshan is performing well in laning phases, it's not translating to the late game. We are improving his survivability to give him room to make splashy plays in teamfights. So what do we have here? We have a base armor increase from 3.9 to 4.3 per level, magic increase 0.8 to 1 per level, a Vandrang, which is a first ability, sees a damage increase on level 2 by 5 damage, then on the next rank by 10, and on the highest rank by 15, and no scaling increase. The damage ratio to minions is being reduced in the early game, but buffed on the 3rd rank and buffed on the highest rank. His third ability, Heroic Swing, gets a better crit modifier from 125 to 150, and once you build Infinity Edge, it goes up from 155 to 180. So the issue with Akshan is you win lane in very many scenarios because your champion is very dominant with the third ability, etc. But to be like a super cheesy pick, you have to max the third ability, this ability first, but then you can't benefit from the super wave clear. So the question is, what do they want to do? Because third ability max on Akshan is super toxic and kills people on cooldown. First ability max is non-interactive. So what is the point of this? Because if Akshan gets off a good swing, he will kill you in early to mid game, but late game it still doesn't change anything. And the range of the third ability is also not very high late game, so if he gets touched, he just dies. And this just promotes crit Akshan, so you have like an Essence Reaver, maybe Infinity Edge, maybe you can troll around with Collector a little bit for fun. It's a very interesting thing to see, but we shall see how it turns out. It's a decent buff for Akshan, but I don't know if it fixes his fundamental problems in the late game. Seraphine. Seraphine is a great medic, providing ample health regen to her teammates, which can be frustrating to play against. We're adjusting the amount of healing she's pumping out to give more players space for decision making when it comes to the right moment to heal. Second ability, Surround Sound. The cooldown is being increased on the... Wait, what do we have here? So in the early levels it remains the same. Second point 1 second, then it's 2 seconds, then it's 3 seconds, and then we have a healing adjustment from 7.5 to 5%. Now the issue with this ability is not the healing. The issue with this is the shielding. What is the point of healing when they don't take damage in the first place? So if anything, the shielding should have been touched, because I think on the highest rank, if you have the double cast, it's 300, like 300, plus 70% AP. And that's quite a lot. That is quite a lot. And since you're stacking ability haste, the cooldown is also getting super low, so the best nerf on this ability that we are seeing here is the cooldown. But if anything, they should have touched the shield, not the healing. Urgot. Urgot can be oppressive in lane, especially to his opponents that aren't sure how his kits work. That is a very bad excuse. We're adjusting his damage so his opponents can catch their breath against him. Even though that is funny, adjusting, like, let's take this serious for a second, okay? If they're like serious, you don't know how to play against something, okay, we need to nerf it. Yeah, but that's not how it goes. You need to learn how to play against it, and then you realize it's not that good. So yeah, what are they doing? They're reducing the damage of a second ability, like the Purge, like the Gatling gun, from 12 to 6, which is a big nerf. I don't know why they're doing this. Again, learn how to play against the champions, and we're all smiling. VIEGO Shin. Here we are. We are adjusting VIEGO's damage to make sure players are choosing the right time to go in. So always, you just always one-shot because you're still VIEGO. The armor per level goes down from 5.5 to 5. To play with the Rune King passive, the damage goes down from 4 to 3, so it's a 1% nerf of the current HP. The damage of the second strike is being reduced from 20% attack damage to 15% attack damage. And the active damage is seeing a change in the modifier department to 0.5 crit rate instead of 0.75 crit rate. Next up, we have another nerf coming in for VIEGO's ultimate. The ultimate's cooldown is being increased by 10 seconds on the first rank, which is then evening out in the late game anyway. And we see another change to the crit modifier from 0.75 to 0.5. So let me get this straight. If a VIEGO with Collector one-shot you in the past, the VIEGO without Collector but with BT will still one-shot you. All these changes are cool and they were much needed, but he's still going to kill you. He's still going to be a top tier contested pick simply for the kit he has and the availability of items, the versatility of item builds, everything he has available, just the reset potential. He's too good of a champion, especially in the jungle, to just not pick up. Kayn. The darkened form of Kayn needs to be more powerful to stay advantaged in what? The base stats of Kayn, we see an increase from 37 to 40. We see the Darkened Scythe, energy gained by damaging melee champions from 12 to 15, kills 6 to 75. Health generation in Darkened form also sees a massive increase in healing. Reaping Slash sees a massive increase in damage. Like we see a 1% bonus scaling as well on the max HP. And the ultimate is also seeing a decent increase in the maximum health healing. So, in case you're not familiar, Red Kayn one-shots you if you go Purple Kayn with lethality items. It's a pretty funny pick because you only go Red Kayn to specific champions, like for example, enemy jungle picks Volibear. You just pick Red Kayn. You feast upon him. And it's just a pick you only pick in certain games, and if you pick him into the right games, you will one-shot everyone. You one-shot AD carries, you one-shot tanks, you one-shot everything. So I'm really confused as to why we are buffing Red Kayn. Item changes, mortal reminder. We're buffing the armor penetration into the later phase of the game, as it can be hard for champions to deal effective damage to well-itemized tank champions. Yeah, great, you're getting 3% damage increase. 3% damage, armor. What is this? Is this really? In case you're not familiar, Riftmaker is 33% as well, so they could have just said, to keep the item in line with the Riftmaker, we're putting it to 33%, and not this shenanigans, because this is a joke. The same happens as well with Servitor's Grudge, so there's no big changes. But now we have a massive, insane, crazy change, by the way. Redemption. Okay. Redemption used to be an enchant, right? So the redeeming enchant was not providing stable health regions to the team. We are reworking it into an item to provide more frequent and stable healing to the team. Removed redeeming enchant, and they add redemption as an item. The total price is 2,600, maximum health is 400, mana 300, haste 20. Builds on the Catalyst of the Eons, Kindle Gem, and 500 golds. The Salvation passive, heal ally units within a range of 350 for 50 plus 6% of your bonus health every 8 seconds, no other conditions applied. If no ally champions are around, Salvation will not be triggered, so you just have to be AFK to heal. But now we come to the real kicker. These two passives are beyond insane. This item is crazy. So listen, restore mana equal to 15% of the damage taken from champions. When consuming mana, restore health equal to 20% of the mana consumed. Every cast restores a maximum of 15 health. Now, every tank champion that builds Heartsteel, every single one can build this. Let's imagine you have Heartsteel and defensive boots. Heartsteel is 700 without any stacks. Defensive boots, like let's say 150, not 200, depending on the boots, okay? 700, 150, then we add to the makes that we're going to build this item, this is 400, right? So we have 1100, we have 1250. Then you heal every single 8 seconds, your entire team around you, for 6%. Of 1250 plus 50, and this number only increases. So you basically have Harmonic Echo on a tank champion that is scaling better than Harmonic scales with AP. While this item provides you with mana, health, ability haste, and literally everything you desire as a tank because it fixes all the mana issues, every single one. Ardent Sensor. We're adjusting Ardent Sensor's base stats and ability to make sure it's providing benefits to all allies. Minus 5 AP, plus 10 haste, insane buff. Item build, Etherwisp, Kindle Gem, Ring of Revelation, that's really cool. We have more haste in this build path, really cool. And now, the big change. When you heal or shield an ally other than yourself, you and the ally champion both gain 10 to 30% attack speed and deal 16 to 30 damage for 6 seconds. When you heal or shield an ally other than yourself, they gain 15 to 40%, and their base attacks deal 20 to 40 magic damage. So the item just overall got massively buffed, as well as you having the ability as a tank support champion with AoE healing to build this item. The tank class in WildRift now gained access to support items. They just all gained access to Ardent, Staff, every single one of them gained access to them. And that is an insane buff to this class. The next insane buff is Immortal Shield Bow. Immortal Shield Bow used to increase in value with crit rate, which is limited its usage. We are removing the crit requirement as long as lowering the price, as well as lowering the price, so players can feel good about picking it up when they need survivability. So we reduced the price from 2,300 to 3,000, and the old passive was 300 plus free damage every one crit, to 250 to 550 scaling with levels. Cooldown and everything remains the same. Good change. This will enable on-hit, build paths, or just generally low crit paths to build this item, and still have a crit item in their build. So it's a very interesting pickup, especially if you have, for example, like Blade the Rune King in your build and you have to build Runons. Let's go with Ash, for example. Let's say you go for an Ash build with the Blade the Rune King, Runons, and then you already have -2 crit items, and then this item becomes super weak in comparison. Rune Changes, Domination, Giant Slayer. We're making Giant Slayer more focused on tank champions with bonus health. So what are they doing? The previous was 700 health for 14% bonus damage, which means every 50 health, you dealt 1% bonus damage, okay? Every 50, 1%. Now, 16% to 1600. So every 100 bonus health, it's 1%. So if there's still no viable alternative in the tree. If you're taking Precision Tree, you will still take this tree. In top lane, you can cheese with Last Stand. But here, as an AD carry, most of the time, since you are consistently dealing DPS, you will still have a lot of targets to face, because even though, let's say you face a target with 700 HP, you still deal 7% increased damage from the get-go. And just Health alone is 700 health, without anything else, to 7%. So there's no alternative for AD carries. There's none. You still take it. You still take it. Cool. Keystone, Lethal Tempo. We are changing the mechanism of Lethal Tempo so marksmen can gain further attack range, which will be better for team fights, especially with the attack speed stacks. So what they're removing the old one, 7 to 30, 4 to 10 for ranged, gain 40% on full stacks. The new version now, this is the very key part, the single stacks have been buffed. So if you had 6 stacks before, which was 4 range, we have 6 times 7. To 6 times 13, or 6 times 4, 6 times this. So for example, you see here. So if a ranged champion gains 6 stacks of Lethal Tempo in the past, yeah? So you gain 60 attack speed, plus 40, so you had 100, right? Because of the bonus of the highest attack speed cap. But now, you take 6 here, so you have like 90. So you lose 10% attack speed as ranged, but you gain 75 range. Because at full stacks, melee and ranged champions gain 50 to 75 bonus range, which is going to be a very interesting interaction if you run Runan's Hurricane. Because this item increases the range you have even more, because yeah, it scans in a very interesting direction around you. So yeah, the combo of Lethal Tempo and Runan's Hurricane might be a little bit overbearing next patch, so let's see how that one turns out, and if you see some nerfs coming in hot instantly after. What do we have left? We have some systematic changes, battlefield changes, T-HEX, MECHA. Further, we're optimizing the performance of the T-HEX mecha, mechanism optimization, optimize the maneuvering of basic attacks, which now can penetrate targets hit with a damage tick. What? We're buffing this even more. Yeah, this is good. Hitting it needs to be easier. But this is crazy. Minimap prompts tips if T-HEX is spawned for a while but not activated. Minimap blah blah blah. Okay, cool. But this is crazy. This here. You give Zeri E to this thing. And the things that are listed here, we have Arcade Riven Chroma, releasing 6, and Elderwood Rakan. This should be the mini battle pass. And with that, be at the end of the video. Don't forget about the Discord server description below if you want to save big on skins and wild calls in general. Use the code KIRKS, KIRKS10. Just type in KIRKS, should be enough. And yeah, we're at the end of this video. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and come back for more RiftGuides content very soon. Take care, and bye-bye.